sandwiches in the cast iron skillet.
Sounds good. And good morning to Carla as she labors away to take care of the old man, W7MS.
Hey, Mike, you tell Christine we said hello, too.
Yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely.
Is MU6F in here?
Have not heard Ron since he's just up the street. I'm kind of surprised, but not to this point, W7MS.
Yeah, negative on that too here in Dayton. I haven't heard Ron yet. He's usually the first one in here. Yeah, usually he's really loud and in the number one spot usually. Yeah, you're right. Anybody like to check in? Be an early check-in for the Vintage Military Radio Net. If you'd like to be number 7 in an early check-in, come up.
SK6BXY on low power still. You copy? I'll be number 7, then I'll go up frequency and tune up.
Whiskey 6 Alpha, Whiskey Oscar.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. K6VXY. Kevin, good morning. And I've got you in the number 7 spot, sir. And good morning, Richard. W6AWO. I have you in the number 8 spot, sir. Anyone else like to be an early check-in for the Vintage Military Radio Net? By all means, chime in. This is K0DWC taking early check-ins on the vintage military radio net, which will start here in just a minute or so. So anyone want to check in early, feel free to do so. Okay, this is K0DWC making one last call for early check-ins, B number 9, for the vintage military radio net. We're going to start that here very, very shortly. Okay, well, good morning to everyone. This is the Vintage Military Radio Net. This is K0DWC. My name's Chuck, and I'll be your net control this morning. And we'll be operating on 3974 kilocycles. The Vintage Military Radio Net is a round-table AM net that provides an opportunity for hams, licensed hams, to operate their vintage military radio gear on the air. Military gear is encouraged, certainly not required. Check-ins will be given a number that can be used in the handoff, and I will call for check-ins at the end of each round-table session. If anyone has anything for sale or a want, please mention it during your turn in the round-table session. So far I've got 8 check-ins, which I will go over here in just a second. If you would like to check in and be number 9, please come now.
WA7 YBS.
Sorry about that, I had a slight glitch there. If you'd like to be number 9, come now, please.
WA7 YBS.
Good morning, Henry. I got you in the wrong spot there, bud. Alrighty, let me write that down, Henry. Alrighty. Okay, anyone else would like to join us first round and be number 10? Come now. Okay, well, let me give you the rundown as I've recorded in order of who I've heard. In the number 1 spot, I've got Dave, W6MQI. In the 2 spot, I've got Mike, W7MS. In the 3 spot, I've got Steve, W6SSP. In the 4 spot is Jerry, W6JRY. In the 5 spot is Bill, N6BCT. In the number 6 spot is Tom, WA6OPE. In the 7th spot is Kevin, K6VXY. In the number 8 spot, is Richard, W6AWO. And in the 9th spot is Henry, WA7YBS. So that's the rundown as I have it right now. I'll give you a quick rundown here. We're running the ART-13 Carl's rig, W4DBQ rig, 200 watts, D104 mic inverted lead, and the 1962 R39A Teledyne. So that's the rundown here. So with that, we will go ahead and start round number 1 with Dave, W6MQI. And by the way, everybody, I heard Bill, he was a little confused, I did hear him, but everybody else is pounding in here from conditions relatively right now. So, Dave, go ahead and take it. W6MQI, K0, DWC.
K0, DWC, W6MQI. Alright, Chuck, yeah, conditions are real quiet down here, too. It's kind of nice. The rain has washed away all the crap. So, all stations are sounding good here in Livermore. This is Dave in Livermore. And we're on the TCK7 transmitter, serial number 172. Accepted on March 20th by the Navy, 1945. And listening on the Collins 7584 receiver. And boy, did we get a lot of rain here. I don't have a rain gauge, so I have no idea how much. Between Wednesday and yesterday, though, my backyard is a swamp. And a disaster, too, with all the leaves and everything all over the ground. So I got some cleanup work to do here. But boy, do we need it. Good. So, all stations are loud and clear, as I said before. Even hearing Bill a little bit. So, W7MS, W6MQI.
Well, thanks, Dave. W6MQI at the West Coast Vintage AM-Net Nevada edition, W7MS Mike in Reno. Well, good morning to all. Good conditions. Hear a little bit of Bill. I can't qualify or quantify him as Q5, but I suspect that's going to happen. So, good morning to you, Dave. Sounding good on the TCK7. Chuck is sounding fantastic as NCS. And good morning to Steve, Jerry, Bill, Tom, Vern, K6VXY, Richard, and Henry, last but not least. And this morning, to keep it short here on the first round, running the Edgar Johnson 500, Quincy, California edition, about 350 watts of carrier, amplified D104 microphone, and listening on the military connection, West German edition, and that's the Rodian Schwartz EK07D. So over to Steve, W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, thank you, Mike, and good morning, everybody. Relatively good conditions, but fairly high noise level here today. Kind of like last weekend, I think it's PG&E noise. It's about S2, S3. So it's going to hamper things a little bit. But Q5 so far, and everybody but Bill, until he's in there, but that's about it. So anyway, this is Steve, just north of Santa Rosa. Running the same old usual setup, the current setup for AM. Call it 75A1 receiver and a 32B1 transmitter. Driven by a dual microphone and dipole about 30 feet up or so. And over Thanksgiving, we're kind of thinking about things we're thankful for, and this is one of them. For me, this is just about the ultimate AM setup within, reasonable financial considerations. So I'm very, very thankful to have this setup, and it still works, which is pretty nice. Rain up here wasn't quite as much as some of you guys got, about an inch to an inch and a half. We got some rain overnight, but that's about it. So I didn't clean out the insulators on the power poles quite enough. That's how it goes. Anyway, over to Jerry. And Jerry, I want to comment on your audio. Your audio is fantastic. Just very, very punchy audio. Excellent. In all respects. Over to you. W7, JRY, W6 SSP.
Okay, Steve. W6 SSP in the group, W6JRY. Okay, very good morning to all. Very good signals all around coming into Forest Ranch. And again, the rain here has kind of washed out my ongoing noises that we have around the area here. And hasn't really been any work done on anything. I think they were waiting around and decided to ignore things until maybe after the rain or more complaints or whatnot. But very good. We're on our usual setup here, the Navy ART-13 RBM4 Navy receiver. E104 mic, Delta loop antenna, and it's been raining on and off here since Wednesday, and we got a fair amount of rain. 54 degrees in the shack, 44 degrees out, and just kind of barely moving around here after yesterday afternoon's work on a kitchen sink that all of a sudden sprouted a very big leak and required me for a while to get underneath the sink, and boy, I don't think that's gonna work again too well. I'm still trying to recover from crawling under the sink, and I'm sure some of you have had that experience before, but I haven't for a while, and it's not much fun. Anyway, Chuck, you sound good this morning. Sounds like you're feeling a little bit better. You sound a little more robust and so on there. So, over to Bill, and let's see if he's copying us here. I'm hearing you in there, Bill, and 6BCT in the group, W6JRY.
Okay, N6 BCT, W6OPE, good morning to all. Yeah, I can tell Bill's in there. I can get a word once in a while, but that's about it. He's about even with my noise level here this morning. And the noise level is lower than usual, which is a good thing. And we are on the usual rig, as usual. World War II U.S. Navy TCM transmitter of RBC receiver. And two projects going on, although it's been so damn cold lately. Cold for here. Wednesday morning, believe it or not, it was 34 degrees. I know you guys in Nevada, that's tropical, but for here, 34 degrees is cold, real cold. And a house with no insulation to speak of. And still has single pane windows. And the heater is going and going and going and going. So yeah, 34 is not a good thing for around here. And the launch of Madness is pretty much done. Although there's a kind of a long-term testing phase going on here and there with receivers. And isn't it amazing when you take a 60-year-old piece of equipment or whatever and you test it and it works pretty well. And then you do a long test on it, over a period of a couple of weeks, and you let it run for an hour each time, no problems cropped up. Man, intermittent gain, all kinds of stuff is happening on the one that's being tested at the moment. Well, not this moment, but. And also, Generator Madness has reoccurred too, working on a PU-181 or PGC-1. That's a little two-cycle, 300 watt, 120 volt AC job. It was one that I put together from parts. I had a whole bunch of parts laying around there, various states of disrepair and disassembly and whatnot, so I put the thing together for parts about 20 years ago. And I dug it all out recently, and I had a P214 battery charger that I fixed, got that going. That's working really nicely. And so then I decided, well, let's see if I can get that PGC-1 to work. Well, it isn't working yet, but I'm having the carburetor is disassembled in a million pieces, and the carburetor, believe it or not, how about that? It's full of crud. So, yeah, shocking. So that's what's going on here, and the usual stuff. I'm ready for spring. And anyway, let's keep it going. Over to Vern, not Kevin, Vern, K6BXY, WA6OPE.
Thank you, Tom, for the ID. Yeah, this is Vern, K6VXY. Thank you. Good signal. Most everyone has good signal, and of course, Bill is 100%. Bill, the conditions are good, I guess, today. And I have a rain report for sure. I went out early, around 6:30, and we had a break in the rain, according to our local weather thing on the internet, or what do you call it, the Weather Channel. It's supposed to rain continuously, but it seems like that stopped. But we got 3 inches of rain last night, starting around, I would guess, 3:30 or 4, it started coming down, and then it rained all night. So we had 3 inches of rain. That's pretty good. I had emptied the rain gauge before to check it. I can measure up to 5 inches. I'm leaving it in there, but supposedly we're going to get a rain mixed with snow later today. We had about a half inch of snow or so a few days ago. That kept us locked up a little bit, and then the rain came back and washed it away, so that's good. My antenna, a squirrel report, as you guys have mentioned before, got a new one. Had no squirrels at all for months. And I got hit late last week. I noticed my antenna was lower. I'm only up 20 feet instead of the 30 feet at the apex. But he hit a side tree, which I thought would never get hit because where it goes through the tree is kind of very
it's a bunch of small branches, and I would think a squirrel would have a hard time getting into that. But it was a clean cut right through the thickest rope I got, that quarter-inch stuff. But you heard me okay, and thanks for bringing me in, Chuck. I was running only 8 watts when I did the early check-in there and got the old heat kit all set. The SB200. Boy, this thing, I don't worry about it at all on the linear. The new 572Bs I put in about a month ago are just falling, and I got plenty of power. I'm only running 80 watts. Just, if you hear me at 8 watts, you'll hear me at 80. Okay. Very good. Hello to everybody. And we'll see what comes next with the rain. I looked at Lake Don Pedro, those that might be interested. The lowest I ever saw it. After the rain we got Monday, because I was over in Sonora on, Friday. Yeah. It looked like it came up a little bit with that inch of rain we got earlier, last week. And I don't know if it came up much at all. I hope they don't drain it, but with 3 inches like overnight, I'm probably going to see a difference finally, because it's really low. And my nephew Eric came out. He's a pilot. He was plane landed in Sacramento, so he came down to see us for yesterday afternoon. And he'd been up here before as a kid with his mother and my sister, and he said he'd never seen Lake Don Pedro that low. It was really impressive at that low. So hopefully we get a lot more rain and fill that thing up. So, good morning to everybody, and thanks for running the net there, Chuck. Hello to everybody else. And I'm turning it over to W6 AWO. And, by the way, W6MQI, your signal is incredible from Livermore. You're so close. You're stronger than anyone. Except Mike is right up there. He's doing good, too. This is K6VXY over to W6AWO.
All right, thank you very much, Vern. K6VXY, W6AWO, high top Inverness range. Well, looks like the amplified speakers across the way are picking up something. And noise level's a little bit higher today. It's at a high pitch. I was wondering if it might be local, unable to locate the exact source in the time we had before the net. Almost everybody's got an all the way over signal, and everyone is 100% readable except for Bill, but I'm getting most of Bill as well. Running the usual dull and boring Viking 2 and HRO 60. And the military connection, if there is one, is a BC 1031 pan adapter. The antenna is a classic dipole. Well, it's chilly here. And like Tom says, I wonder how I ever survived back on the East Coast when things got into the 20s and the 10s and below zero occasionally. Because we get into the 30s here and even the 40s, and it just feels like you're in the Arctic for some reason. Maybe because the humidity is high, I don't know. But things are warm inside, and that's what counts. So things are going well. No particular projects underway that are worthy of discussing here. So maybe it's time to turn it over to Henry. WRBS, W6AWO.
Okay, let's do a little tweaking here. And we can talk and tweak at the same time. So that looks good. And of course, that might not make any sense, but okay. A little bit wet. I think that was probably why we had to sort of tweak a few little knobs here. But everything is okay now. So good morning to all. Our signals all the way around, with the usual exception of Bill, about Q3 here, Bill. Everybody else is pounded in here. Mike is full quieting. So is Chuck. And Dave is pretty darn strong, so is Jerry. In fact, all signals are good. Well, we're on the well, I don't want to call it delta blurring, but you can put a little more loading in here. Okay. And we're on the columns 32V3, running about 110 watts, antenna SA, inverted V. And the microphone is, I don't hardly mention it, but this is the, I don't know what you call it, a communal microphone. It's the same one I use on every rig. I just swap the head, the D104 head, with an original bought by me back in the 1990s from a Static, an original D104 element. So, and it still works, but you know, you don't put those crystal elements out in the sun and let them get up to about 150 degrees, and of course you don't drop them and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the transmitting end of things, and of course the receiving end of things is the usual, the Raycal RA-17L in the Royal Army silver hammer tone housing. So that's the rundown. Boy, we keep dropping here a little bit. I know I'm beginning to sound like N7 RCA talking while tweaking. Okay, everything still looks fine. So, with that, back to Chuck, K0DWC, WA7YBS.
Okay, Henry, WA7YBS, K0DWC. All right, well, you know what? I actually heard Bill that time. I actually heard him hand it over to Tom, which was better than when he checked in. And I've had a bunch of glitches here. I don't even know what receiver I'm running. Crying out loud. I had wrote down previously before the net started what I was going to run, and then I switched over at the last minute before I started talking to Dave before the net started, and I switched over to the Collins R388 receiver from the R390A. So that's actually what I'm running, is the R388. But anyway, Jerry, yeah, I'm feeling better. It's been a very slow process. I mean, the COVID part was over a while back, but the pneumonia part it's lingered for quite a while, and I don't know if I still have it or not. I was told I have to wait 6 months to go back in for an ultrasound and a chest X-ray, which will be in April. So, but my breathing is a little suspect still. It doesn't take much for me to do something, to start huffing and puffing and gasping for breath, but I mean, it's not dangerous or nothing. It's just like I'd been running, for a little bit, had to stop and breathe heavy. But anyway, I am feeling better, and I think it is getting better. So anyway, let's see. Oh, and Vern, my apologies, sir. I don't know why. Somehow I get your call sign and Kevin's call sign mixed up, and I should have picked that up when I heard you check in. So I apologize for that. K6BXY. Oh man. But anyway, yeah, we got a little bit of a mud pit in the back too with the horse in the horse corral. I don't know if we're going to have to get the tractor out early, go out there and do something or not. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't know. I don't know if this weather's over with. I think they're calling for some snow here today and tomorrow, but not till later this afternoon. So, Henry, you didn't give our weather report. You're going to have to give the weather report next go around, because I don't know it. All I saw was snowflakes and clouds there. So, but I didn't get any temperatures or nothing. So, I'll leave the weather report to Henry. He's always good at doing that. Oh me. Okay. All right, fellas. Let me make a call out here and see if there's anyone else that wants to check in. If you'd like to be number 10 for the Vintage Military Radio Net, come out. Okay, nothing heard. Just one more quick comment to Tom. Yeah, I'll bet that 34 degrees. I bet you felt like you were in the Arctic over there in the Bay Area. That's kind of unusual for over there. And like you said, a house with kind of, light insulation and single pane windows. I never really saw that over there because I know the weather usually is pretty mild over there year round. But I guess the way they build houses, or the way they built houses anyway over there, I guess was different than they did in a lot of areas of the rest of the country. I never really thought of it that way. That was a good piece of information there, Tom. Okay, 36MQI in the group, K0DWC. Go ahead, Dave. That TCK sounds great.
All right, K0DWC, W6MQI. All right, thanks, Chuck. And everybody else that mentioned my audio reports or signal strength anyway. That's cool. And Chuck, man, 6 months before possibly getting out of the woods on that. I've never had pneumonia before. Knock on wood here. Sounds nasty, just nasty. But yeah, keep it going there, Chuck. And yeah, copied everybody just fine. I even copied Bill, maybe Q4 or something like that. And I was able to hear everything he was saying, but not super strong, but I was hearing him. Noise level here is still good. And Henry, yeah, I do the same thing with my B104. I have one good head. I have another one that I have. I don't think the audio is nice on it, so I just kind of set that one on the shelf. But I got multiple stands for multiple rigs, and I just keep swapping the head around. And unfortunately, I have dropped it on the concrete along with this microphone when I first got it. This microphone for the TCK. It's got like a 10-foot cord attached to it. Tom was saying it was like 25 feet at one time, and I walked by, snagged it with my foot, and went right over the floor. And let's talk about some curse words. Then I put in carpeting in here, so cushion the fall of the things that I drop on the floor. Haven't been doing too much around here with a lot of problems. Working on that second amplifier, that GRC 106. There's a function switch you can go through and look at voltages and currents and things like that. And I have grid current, grid drive, and I got power output, but I have no PA current. This doesn't make sense. It wouldn't work without the PA current. So I've kind of just done some preliminary checks. I think the rotary switch may have gone belly up on it. So, I don't know, I may just leave it. There's like 50 different connections onto this rotary switch, and I just don't feel like changing it. I know I'm getting power output, so I may just leave it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What other things I've been doing is working on the vehicles around here. I had a hammer in the pilot, the driver's side, broke, couldn't get in. I've been crawling in from the passenger side for the last month, and finally ordered a new handle, put that in Friday. So that's been nice to be able to actually get into the car correctly without having to crawl over the seats. And ordered myself a Signal Link digital interface to try and hook that up to the GRC 106 and get on the ClatterNet, playing around with some of the software, Unfortunately, I don't have any real tilt-top machines, so it'll have to be via computer, via AFSK into the GRC 102. That'll work. And, Steve, I got your check. I just got to get off my butt and put it in the bank now. So, I got your check. Thanks for that. So, anyway, that's the rundown here. If anything else, I'd say it's a toss-up between Tom, Richard, and Jerry. You guys are all neck and neck here. So, anyway, over to Rick, W7MS, W6MQI.
Okay, well, thanks, Dave. W6MQI, W7MS. Great reception from all, with the exception of Bill. He was about a Q3 also, similar to Henry's reception report, but apparently he's landing in down the street at Chuck's quite well, or a different nuance there, so that's fantastic. Hell, okay, good deal, 100% plus modulation here. Well, comments. Steve, well, you're doing great up with your AM station there. The usual stuff, but it probably means that you have some higher degree of sanity, at least as it relates to AM operation. But of course, you have pinball machines and cathedral radios, et cetera, et cetera. So that makes us all even, I guess, one way or another. Jerry, continuing issues with power line noise. We're still waiting for the Hollywood ending on that, and we'll see how it turns out. But we know you're like a mad dog with a bone. You're not going to give up, but it's also a good test for patience. And again, good morning to Bill and Tom. Good deal. A little bit of an update there on the Pearson Holt or Pearson KE93. I did dig out the August 97 edition of Electric Radio covering that receiver, and it was largely just a history from the Holt version of the company, based on a personal relationship of the author with that gentleman. But no real description of the receiver, just a picture of a pile of parts, and describing Mr. Holt as the instigator of the company, and Pearson as an employee. So I'm sure if you had the Pearson version of history, Pearson's the honcho and Holt's the employee, but that's male ego at work, but virtually no information on the radio's performance. So, but on the positive side, was digging through the disorganized stack of ERs in the garage, and ran across numerous cover photographs of various folks on this frequency this morning. So that was the most pleasant discovery, as opposed to the article, which was a little disappointing on the let's say the product review side of things. So that's that version. Vern, sounded good. Again, I forgot to comment, a week or two ago, you were talking about the new amplifier, the 572Bs. Congratulations. No offense to 811 aficionados, but you're running the right final in the PA for that guy. Good morning, Richard. I was chuckling about various comments about temperature issues. It's all relative. Having lived in the Bay Area and enjoyed the flowering apple trees in January, I certainly appreciate the differential in temperatures. But the funny side was over Thanksgiving, staying in Nevada City, Nevada County, where they wanted to run the temperature HVAC at 67 degrees at night, plus a wood stove. I was dying of heat stroke. So it's all relative, and of course the locals were quite comfortable. I was having trouble sleeping. I was just it wasn't the 60 degrees and 10 layers of comforters on top of me. So it's all relative on that. And Henry, good signal. I certainly appreciated your homage to Brad Hollander. I fell out of my chair laughing. I was hoping you would go there. We know where you were and what you were thinking, but you finally said it. So good job on that, on the tweaking peeking. And that's the story here. So we'll keep it going. Over to Steve, W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And it's funny you mentioned that article in Market Radio. I just read it this week, and pretty nifty little transceivers, Pierce Bolt PE93, I think it was, and real nifty. One of those things that you probably wouldn't know anything about unless you read an article like that. So always nice if you come across one of the swap meet for good price and know a little bit about it. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Tom, as you know, up on Santa Rosa, it gets a little bit hotter and a little colder. Well, we were at 24 in the middle of the week. And boy, I'm not looking forward to the PG&E bill this month. It's going to be outrageous. I always think in terms of how many radios I could buy for what the PG&E bills are these days. Yeah, it's quite a few, so we'll see. Maybe that'll change. Let's see, Dave, I wanted to comment on your TCK. Great signal strength and really nice audio quality. Sounds great. Everybody else is hanging in there. A little bit of QSB creeping in, and noise seems to be getting worse here. So I don't know how much longer conditions will be favorable. Projects this week, mostly raking leaves. This time of year is really something else. And we also have several palm trees here. 3 of them are the canary palms. They're about 50, 60 feet tall. And 2 of them are right next to the house. In the middle of the night, I heard a big whomp, and one of the pod phones came down. I was thinking it might have come down on this antenna, but SWR is still good, so apparently not. But I've got some cleanup to do this morning. Ooh, let's see what else. The other project is I made a little bit of progress on the TNT transmitter. I made up a couple of the aluminum brackets needed for the variable caps. One more bracket to make, and then do the final assembly and wiring, and see how much power it puts out. With a 45 tube, might be a watt or 2. But that's okay. It'll look nice on the show. Okay, over to Jerry, W7JRY, W6SSP.
Yeah, okay. Okay, this is W6JRY. Okay, thank you, Steve, W6SSP, W6JRY. And you keep trying to put me in W7 land, but we're a little ways from there. Good on everybody. Still excellent signals. Steve, you're about as loud as I think I've ever heard you in here. And commenting on your PG&E bills, I'm right in there with you. In fact, I got an email from them and a real low rating for how much power I'm using. It's a big old house and got a lot of leaks and things around here, and everything electric, of course, being up in the mountains, no gas up there or anything, although I hear that's going up more and more all the time. Pretty horrendous bills, yeah, that we're seeing there. And let's see, like a lot of you too, big rush to get the reeds raked up here before the rains. A lot of work doing that. I haven't really been hardly on the air at all for a good week or so due to leaf raking, prior to the rain, burning, brush pruning, and so on like that. It's that time of year, and now the rain's come, which is great. Not complaining about the water and the rain, because it makes the fear of wildfires kind of goes away. We're just hoping for the next, or not hoping, but waiting or cringing for the next power outage. It's been a while, and it just you never know nowadays about that. Neither. Henry, talking about the crystal mic elements there with the D104 and so on. My first microphone crystal microphone that I had for getting on back in the AM days, prior to just using carbon mics of different varieties, mostly military, was a JT30. And same thing there. I lost one of those mics elements, the JT30, from overheating. Had it in some position there where the sun was coming through the window, and that dented it. Had to get another one. Funny thing about those JT30s, and I don't know if any of you, the rest of you, heard of this or not, but they kind of went the way of the VT4Cs and the 300B Western Electric tubes. The audio people seem to have picked up on those, and harmonica players were searching for them all the time, and the price went up horrendously on eBay and so on, looking for JT30 microphones. And then later on you see guys maybe in some band using a microphone and the head of a JT30 up there behind the harmonica. So anyway, interesting. Pests around here, red-headed woodpeckers right at the present time. Had 2 nests of them hatch out here, and they've been causing me some problems. So I didn't want to dispatch them the way I used to with the flickers and whatnot, but I got some kind of stuff I ordered that is supposed to scare birds away, but then the rain's coming. I didn't get a chance to put it up. Other than just domestic work, sat down and watched 2 pretty good movies last night. The new Top Gun, not too bad. And another older one, I guess. I hadn't seen it before. Maybe some of you did, a World War II movie. And the name of it was Heart's War. Very graphically a great movie. They were listening to the BBC on looked like a homebrew crystal radio in one of the steroids in Germany towards the end of World War II. I thought it was really a well-done movie. Anyway, it's enough out of me, and let me send it over there to you, Bill. N6BCT in the group, W6JRY.
N6BCT, WA60BE. I think he turned it over to me. Yep. Okay, well, let's see here. Conditions, a little bit of QSB creeping in here and there, that's for sure. But overall, that's still probably acceptable. Let's see here. Mike, yes, thank you for looking up that article so I don't have to. So I won't bother. And finding the rogues gallery yeah, you know, over the years, what would we do without electric radio? Boy, I'll tell you. And that's what caused me to get back on the air. I remember I was running on sideband, and I heard one day Sam Thompson talking about what's going on here? Sure enough, I managed to make contact with him too because it was about the TDO, which he had just acquired, my TDO. And he asked me when he invited me over, and I went over, took a look at it, answered a bunch of questions if I could, and on and on and on. But anyway, And he said, have you seen the new magazine called Electric Radio? This is one, the very first one with myriad samples to some of the usual suspects at that time. The big guns of AM in the 80s, late 80s. And he said, yeah, take it and read it and give it back to me when you're done with it. And boy, I took that thing home and read it that night. Sent a subscription check that night. And I have been a continuous subscriber ever since. And boy, I'll tell you, of all the times I didn't think it would last as long as it did, and it's still going, it's still great. I always look forward to it. And the amount of obscure, I mean it, the amount of obscure information that's been disseminated to our group of people has been just unbelievable. Just really good, some great stuff. And covered all the equipment, all the good stuff, bad stuff, everything. It's been great. So let's see here. What else was I going to comment about? I've been over here working on some other stuff. Where are we? Funky junk. Carburetor parts. And other stuff. And listening to conditions are good enough that you can get away from the receiver. So anyway, houses, the temperature. You know, when this house was built in '56, it was built by three guys named Carl and Poe. And in the days of the 1956 era, PG&E actually had stalls and things in their offices where you went to pay your bill, in person. And stoves and things to encourage gas use, or gas heat was dirt cheap, and you know, you could heat a house like this for what, $10-15 a month. And now, yeah, man, I mean, it is getting very expensive, and unfortunately there's a lot of people living in houses similar to this or worse, and they can't really afford these PG&E bills for hundreds of dollars a month. And next door, their house about half as big as this one, and their PG&E bill in December or January last year was like $450 a month, and 90% of that was gas. So, yeah, not a good thing. Not a good thing. And, yeah, 34 is really cold. The coldest I've lived around here all my life, and the coldest I can ever remember, the official temperature was 19 degrees, and pipes were frozen everywhere. I had heard it was coming, so I insulated the outdoor pipes where the water pipe comes up to the house and all that stuff, copper pipe right out in the open. So I insulated all that stuff and whatever. It didn't have any frozen pipes, but plenty of neighbors did. And when it thawed out, there was water everywhere. And where I worked at work, they had shut down for a couple of weeks during the Christmas season and all. And they broke some pipes like you can't believe. Big flood, tons of work after we went back to work. Put things back together again, all because of the cold. And it was even colder than 19 in a few areas of the Bay Area. Snow on hills that hadn't seen snow since I don't know when. And whatever. So yeah, 19 is the coldest I can ever remember here, around here. And over in the Northeast area or whatever, the other extreme is 115 degrees. Official temperature on limits. And that was a hot one. That's the other extreme. Trying to PG&E bill for electric is getting through the roof also. Now it's even 30 cents a kilowatt hour now. So when you have air conditioning, it's costing you about between 50 cents an hour, depending on the size of your unit. So that's getting expensive to operate now too. A lot of people can't afford to run their air conditioners anymore. Oh well. So back to the World War II era radio equipment and the hide from all this stuff. Okay, let's see here. Let me keep it running, or keep it rolling, and I should take down notes, damn it. Anyway, K6BXY, here it comes, WA6OPE.
Okay, thanks, Tom. WA6OPE, it's K6VXY. Yeah, you guys reminded me there are a couple things here that happened here since I was on, actually in the last week and then 2 weeks ago. PG&E is, I guess, I don't know for what reason, they're replacing these power poles. They replaced the power pole on our street, up the street, I guess you could call it. A couple of weeks ago, we had power outage all day. And we've had a generator for a while because when we get snow here or other things, we get a power outage. So I did that and used that all day. The one we had earlier this week, I think it was the 30th, so that'd be Wednesday, yeah. They got a little behind on what they had to do. They were supposed to be out from 8 till 4 o'clock. No, 9 to 4, that was it. They actually dropped the power at 10:30 and weren't even close to being done at 4 o'clock. Talking about the cold temperatures, there was various people there. It was cold. Now, it probably was no more than freezing outside, and then we had the lack of heat inside because I don't have enough power on the generator to run the heater. But it was really getting cold. But that was quite an experience. And then on the bills, our water bill is going to be double this month. It won't. It's because of what happened in the month of October, September too. It's delayed on the time that we actually see it. And then I found our water meter because of it, and I've been reading it to see how we're doing. And the reason we had the power outage, and if any of you guys, the power outage, the reason we had the water go up so high, it was over double what it should be. The toilet, you know, that little lever inside your toilet tank, on the back side there of your toilet, it wasn't shutting off. In other words, when the water would fill in the tank, it still kept leaking. Well, you have 24/7 of leakage. You got a lot of water. So I went down to Lowe's and got the replacement part for it. Worked out good. It was a new equipment on the water. And it goes in easy. You just push it down. You don't have to take apart anything that goes to the toilet and then adjust it. And I was fiddling with the adjustment quite a bit. And then I finally got that tube. That's another thing you guys might check if you haven't. There's a little black tube that comes, is your refill, and that goes down that circular pipe. That has to push into that pipe. It's kind of hard. You got to use a screwdriver to separate those two parts of the hose holder. Hose holder. I guess that's what you call it. You put that in there because otherwise it will start to. Plumber came out and he's going to do some other work. And he says, what happens, you get a siphoning effect, and if you don't get that in that little tube, it will continue to put water out. And it wasn't as much, but it was about another 50% decrease in the water usage once I did that, and that was just last week. So our bill that we'll actually be paying in late January, how much is delayed, for November, will drop a lot. So now that I know how to measure it, it's like when we had solar power in Paradise. It gets to be a contest. How low can you go? They do sell a unit that's $200. I'm not sure I want to do that because I found the water thing and I just got to walk down to the front of the house and look at it at 11 o'clock every day. And I've been thinking about it, but if the weather gets really bad, I might get it because it's snow and stuff. I'm not going to be able to get down the driveway. But anyhow, I got it down to, 130 gallons in a day, which still seems like a lot. But it was a lot more than that. I think it was, let's see, doing the math, 400? Could have been 400. Three to 400 gallons a day, and that was all from the leak. So it's just a tip. Okay, with that, on to, let's see, number 7, 8, W6AWO, Rich. And I guess we'll be doing the 73 round soon, because if we don't, we all know what happens to our signals. Okay, over to you, Rich.
Thank you, K6VXY, W6AWO, high top Inverness Ridge. So you're talking about microphones. Everybody, of course, use the D104, the classic. You know, one of the guys on one of the Facebook pages about old radios, and I showed a photograph of the station here, and of course there's the D104 there, and he says, well, is it from Conneaut? And I didn't realize that there was two different places, I guess, they made these things, and it made me think that I should look, and I did, and it is, and it also made me think about this other static microphone, which is called a Conneaut, and it's on a grip-to-talk stand. It's not like the one you usually see with a D104. It's got a bar in the front. I guess push-to-talk stand. But it is a Conneaut, and it is a rocket-shaped microphone. I mean, it's a chrome egg-shaped housing with fins out the back, and the front has a kind of a rounded knob that comes out of the front. And when I first got it, one of the little edges of that grill was broken. Obviously, it had fallen over. And before I thought I'm never going to find one of these. But I called up the factory, and this now our car is starting to detect this was decades ago. And they said, no, we got nothing, we don't know nothing. But wait a minute, there's an old guy in the back. You know, there's always an old guy in the back who's getting ready to retire. And the old guy in the back, let me let you talk to him. Why, what the hell? You know, what do you want? I told him what I heard. Oh, wait a minute, I may have something in the drawer here. He looks in the desk drawer, and sure enough, he's got the front in perfect condition and sent it to me. So I actually used that microphone not that long ago with a radio that is now gone, and it worked then. Maybe it'll still work now. You have to put the right connector on it and see. Yeah, the TCK, fine and great over at MCY. Good signal, good audio. And electric radio mag. Yeah, couldn't figure it out. I just renewed, just yesterday, I saw there was a back order in there, and it was for an order of initial electric radio. I couldn't remember why I got it. Well, fact, of course, there's Tom Horsfall on the front cover. I noticed that, but there must have been I mean, that's enough inducement as it is to get the magazine, don't get me wrong, but there must have been an article in the back there about something I was interested in. For some reason, I didn't get it in my out basket when I originally put it there, so I got that as well. But no, it's wonderful. It's just so great that there is a periodical with such obscure information that we love. It's a blessing. You have a rare outside. We've got coyotes are starting to move on and everywhere. But mainly we have several families of foxes, a couple families of skunks, lots of quail, hummingbirds, and a pair of ravens. Roger and Rhonda Raven roost on the railing, and they have been with us for years, and they are just wonderful. And I guess they know that the buffet will be served here in the mornings and the evenings, which is why they all show up. But it's wonderful to watch it. Now, Henry, get ready. WA7YBS, W6AWR.
Okay. Well, let's see. Now we got to do more tweak. Things are changing. Sun's coming out and stuff like that. All right, now that was not a big deal. And yes, homage to Brad. But anyway, let me get the temperature thing out of the way and the weather out of the way. Sun's shining right now. Blue sky out the window. It was 32 degrees this morning, which is balmy from what it has been. It's been 10, 12. I think one time it was maybe it got up to about 16. And, that's early in the morning. We haven't had any snow. It did a little rain, but I think it was probably like, if it made a quarter of an inch, I'd be surprised. It's, it's a little damp, but that's all. It was 32 this morning, but that's the warmest it's been in the morning in a week or so. Well, that's the weather. Let's see, JG30 mic. I used to have some of those. I really enjoyed it. And I think I sold it to some guy when, I had the museum open for $20 or something. And D104s, yeah, and during World War II, they started out in Youngstown, Ohio. And Sharping and Woodruff, I think, was the two guys that started it. And they had a buddy that worked at Brush. And the guy at Brush there invited him over to look at some crystal elements that they were working with for, phonograph pickups and things like that. Well, these two guys thought, wow, that'd make a good microphone. And so they started up. And, taken from Brush. And of course, they got the guy that was their buddy there to come over to their new company, Static, and work for them. So that was, around 33, I think, 1933. But they started out in Youngstown. And then during World War II, they moved to Canoe. And it was, so anyway, this mic head, no, not the element, but the head is a Youngstown. It's a stand, it's a G stand. Got the black telephone base on it instead of silver hammer tone. And so it's a pre-World War II housing. There's that standing housing. The element itself is from 1990 something. So anyway, that started down on the microphones. And yes, the art covers. I got on issue 27 on the cover for an article I wrote on the National AGS family of receivers. And the other times I got on the cover was, I didn't write it there. It was stuck me on the cover. So, I don't remember when it was, but it was a few years back. Tom Murphy, W62, took a picture of me out in the shop. And I must have just wallpaper or something, because wow, that is one bad picture. But anyway, you never can tell what will happen. Let's see. Interesting project was actually assisting a guy up in Canada who was rebuilding a Breading 12. And I happen to have two of them here, Breading 12s, and one of the ones I have is all original. I mean, a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 resistors were changed over the years and maybe a capacitor or two, but basically it is all original. And I guess that's a rarity with Breadings. So I had to take a picture of the underneath of it for him. And this guy, he was obsessive compulsive disorder type, OCD guy. And so he made Micamo paper labels to go on the capacitors and, the whole shop. They made sprayed labels to go on the electrolytic cans. So anyway, it was an interesting project. And the interesting thing was, I think we exchanged 26 emails about Breading 12s. And of course, Breading 12 was a 1935 ham communication receiver made by Breading, the first receiver they came out with. And of course their chief engineer was Ray Goody. And Ray Goody had come over from Patterson. And Patterson Radio had come out with the Ray Goody Patterson PR-10. Well, it was a big success. And so Ray Goody wanted a raise. So he went into Evan Patterson and said, you know, hey, the PR-10 was such a great success. I deserve more money. Well, I guess words were exchanged. And Goody quit. And over that, and he went to work for Brady. Well, Brady was just across the hall. All of these guys in Los Angeles were building receivers on the top floor of the Gilfillan plant. Gilfillan Brothers had the exclusive licenses for the entire West, all 11 Western states. You had to go through Gilfillan if you were building radios in the 30s. So Patterson and Brady were both at the second floor of the Gilfillan plant. And so that was how Ray Goody got in with Brady. But the interesting thing was Patterson was he was a little bit on the egotistical side, and he thought he was an engineer. And so they were just coming out. Patterson was just coming out with the PR-12, and so Patterson himself thought he was going to do the complete engineering on that. Well, it didn't take him but 2 weeks or so to find out that he was no engineer. And so he hired Carl Pearson. Well, Pearson came into Patterson and said, this is a piece of junk, the PR-12. He said, I'll design a new receiver. So in 3 weeks, Carl Pearson designed the PR-16 for Patterson. He bailed out Patterson in the PR-12 debacle. And so anyway, it's kind of funny that Carl Pearson really ended up with all of the Patterson communication receiver line in 1938 or so. And he got into a partnership with a guy named De La Plaine, and they shortened the guy's name to Delane, and it became Pearson Delane. They were Patterson PR-15s. And so anyway, that was kind of Carl Pearson's history before World War II. Made two-way radios with Delane, and after World War II, of course, he started his own engineering company. But the guy had a lot of experience, and I'm sure on the Pearson Holt receiver that is mostly Pearson. The guy was quite an engineer. So anyway, I don't know if I put everybody to sleep with that little story, but at any rate, let's turn it back to Chuck. K0DWCWA7YBS.
Okay, Henry. Wow, that was really instructive. That's a great story. You know, Henry, you ought to start a second website for radio stories. That would be really cool. Because that's an interesting story right there about Pearson and the Gilfillan building and all that. I love stories like that. Nice job, Henry. All righty. Let's see here. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's see. Before we start the 7-3 round, let me just see if there's anybody else who wants to get on the tail end here. And it'll be number 10 and the second round. If you'd like to check in, be number 10. Come now. Okay, nothing heard. Well, the band is starting to move a little bit here. It's negligible, but it is starting to sound a little different. So we'll go ahead and start the 7-3 round. And we'll go down the line. So this will be the 7-3 round, gentlemen, and we'll start back up at the top. The band, W6MQI, K0DWC. You're still sounding good, Dave, and strong. Go ahead.
Hi, K0DWCW6. Well, that's good. And the TCK has finally warmed up the shack here. So now I'll turn it off. But yeah, good net today. Conditions were good. Everybody hung right in there, and I'm a fairly newcomer to ER magazine, like just 2 or 3 years, something like that. But, yeah, Sometimes I get the month, what are they, quarterly? And there's not much in there to interest me, but every once in a while something comes through. So I just kind of keep, it's a cheap subscription, just keep it going. But anyway, guys, 73, I think I'm going to go inside, and the wife and I are going to walk down to the local breakfast joint and get some breakfast and get on with our day. So, 73, everybody. That's Mike, W7MS, W6NQI.
Well, thanks, Dave. W6MQI, W7MS. Still good reception, but of course the signal and noise ratio is shifting, but no major QSB events. So, but of course we're pushing the threshold of fallibility here. It's going to happen. But good comments on critters, critter reports, water. Yeah, and some of the comments on heating and the cost of energy, very reminiscent of the energy issues in the oil embargo era, when we were all suffering from price shock, and we're in that mode again, whether it's market-driven or driven by other folks. Not to get into politics, but it's a little bit more complicated than in the 70s. But with that, I think, and Dave, I forgot to comment, you will straighten out that metering issue on the amplifier in the GRC 106, because you are obsessed. It has you, and I got a feeling we're going to hear sometime here in the future that you're actually going to get that resolved, because you're so close to the finish line. But again, that 106 has been a tough haul in many areas, but glad that you're up to about 99% satisfaction factor. And Henry, no problem with the history. Like I did mention, I enjoyed the article that was written from the perspective of Holt, not Pearson. And I think I agree with you on that, because that's the track history. The resume material is strongly on the Pearson side there from an engineering receiver development standpoint. But Chuck, thanks for running the net. Thanks to Carla on the Lend-Lease radios that keeps NCS afloat and confused on what he's running today. Certainly understand that one. I usually have to make a note myself, because I don't want to be caught. So we'll say 73s to the folks who are in the round table, and to the potential listening audience out there in radio land on 3974 plus or minus. So over to you, Steve. Hopefully we're still making the trip to Santa Rosa. W6SSP, W7MS.
Okay, Mike, no, you're doing fine. You and Dave are still very, very strong. But yeah, we're getting some QSB is showing up, and some guys aren't quite as strong as they used to be, but that is normal at this time of the morning. And Tom, your comments about are dead nuts on. Same here. I didn't really discover the magazine until the mid-90s, but have since collected a fairly complete set up to about 2010 or so. I'm still missing issue number 2. That one, but not 2. I've never found that one, so anybody has an extra, I have a whole bunch of extras for trade. Another thing, anyway, this time of year, I do 2 things. Read back issues of VR, even if I've read articles, I reread them and often find new information. And that kind of gets the juices flowing for the next Hamfest season. And the other thing I do is I catch up on maintenance of pinball machines and arcade video games. And I've been doing a lot of that in the last couple of weeks. And one machine was just driving me nuts. It's electromechanical. It's got a score motor in the bottom that just keeps running and running and running. And there are some things that can cause that. And trying to track that down can be a real headache. But once they're working, they usually work for years. Anyway, need a challenge. Always need a challenge. And Richard, thank you for the update on the critters. Yeah, I'd always enjoy hearing that. I think you've got a very, very wide variety where you are. We've got quite a few here, but different types. And always need to hear that sort of fun. So, So that's about it for me. Enjoy the net as always. And Jerry, sorry for screwing up your call sign. I know what it is. I just had it written down wrong. So, 73R, over to Jerry. W6. Out of W6SSP.
Okay, Steve, W6SSP, W6JRY. Well, don't worry about that. Mistake I make many times. Yeah. You're pushing 90, things start getting funny. Anyway, good net story. Good signals all the way around. Very interesting. Tom, and then the comments on electric radio. I got onto it, and I got the first issue I got onto was May of 1980. April of 94. Number one issue is May of 1989, and boy, that's a thin magazine, but it went from there. My favorite contributor to that magazine was Bob Dennison, and I got acquainted with him, and he had quite a lot of really good projects in there. Being a builder, at least a lot in the past, I've done quite a number of projects out of electric radio, and maybe did my own thing with them or whatnot, but probably some of the most projects that I did build was authored by Bob Dennison, and I thought he was a great guy, an engineer, and he was really into regen receivers and the like. And I got a bunch of those types of projects sitting all over the place here. So I finally ended up back in the day, in the last century, to order the back issues that I didn't have. So I do have a complete set of electric radio, and sad to see that it's kind of gone down to only 6 a year now, but the way all of other things are going. And Tom, on your PGC-1, the generator you're messing with there, I wonder how some of those old generators like the gasoline that they're using nowadays. You know, I'm thinking some of the seals and gaskets and those things, some of those older generators are not built to withstand the way they make the gasoline nowadays. I know that's a problem. Run into that on some of the older chainsaws and older engines and things like that. Henry, on your dissertation there with the old radios and so on, I wonder, I might ask you before, but I just wondered if you'd ever run onto the guy up in Reading that's got a big collection, and he used to do articles in, I'm trying to remember the magazine, the other magazine that dealt with that so much, and I think you had some articles in it too. I took that magazine for quite a while and then dropped it when I kind of give up on some of the older radios, and I just have a few of them left here. So, let's see, anything else there? I think my first project that I learned about out of electric radio was an article in there on the Mark 7 Paraset, and I ended up doing reproductions of those, about 4 of them. I built 4 of those, and messed around with those quite a bit, and quite a lot of other projects in there. So, great magazine. Anyway, enough out of me. I'll say 73's, good net. Everybody's been great copy here, and I'll send it up down there to Bill. N6BCT in the group is 73's from Forest Ranch. It's W6JRY.
over to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I lost him. He's in the noise. My noise level came up a little bit. This is WA60BE. Let's see. Electric radio. Celebrating the bygone era. Yeah, no kidding. That's what we're all doing. We're celebrating the bygone era. And it was really interesting, too. You mentioned Bob Dennison. Yeah, I had the same thoughts, Jerry. They're a great guy and an engineer and did beautiful work. And isn't it amazing that, 60 years ago they were predicting that transistors were going to take over everything and tubes were going to disappear and there would be no more tube information or anything. And along comes electric radio. And it actually kind of caught on. I mean, even QST had vintage radio talent and articles on some of the more some of the stuff, mostly the common garden variety stuff, whereas ER had lots and lots of stuff on the really obscure stuff, which I think are really interesting, especially for us that remember a lot of that stuff. I was a kid when a lot of that stuff came out, but anyway, lots of fun. Quick comment about the gas for the generators these days. Yeah, the gas has got ethanol in it, and it's hot gas in a lot of ways compared to old-fashioned good old World War II. Well, I understand World War II gasoline wasn't all that great, but the gasoline in the 60s, boy, that was the good stuff. Lots of lead in it, too. All the good stuff. And anyway, so in order to deal with that, you don't leave gas in anything. If you want to run one of these old generators or whatever, you put gas in it, and of course those are 2 cycles, so you put the oil in it too. I think that helps a little bit, but they run okay with the gasoline, but you don't want to leave it in the tanks or in the carburetor, so it's not often that they run. Yeah, but when they do, it's put the gas, mix up some gas, put some fresh gas in them for the oil, run them, and then drain everything, drain all the gas out of it. Otherwise, you've got a bunch of junk. It's not a pretty sight. All the vintage engine people, and YouTube is loaded with information about that. I mean, there are literally thousands and thousands of people that are still messing with vintage engines and things, and the gasoline is driving them crazy. But, yeah, big deal. And Henry, yeah, you are a walking encyclopedia of information on old radios of just about every type. And I find it really interesting. And I love it when you do one of your little fill-in lectures, which I think are really interesting. And they make ham radio interesting. And I'll bet you there's people out there in our vast listening audience, I'll bet you they feel the same way too. And it's educational. Once again, celebrating the bygone era, that's what we're doing here, so. Anyway, 73 everybody, talk to you next week, hopefully, and if everything goes okay. And down to Vern, if you're still copying me, Vern, K6BXY, WA60BE.
WA60BE, Tom. Yeah, I'm copying you fine. And you're amusing me of a memory that the electric radio. I don't know exactly how many of those I had burned up in the fire in Paradise. It seems like I started collecting them somewhere around the year 2000. And I used information there to modify the DX100 and the DX60 that I used a lot. I love that DX60. That was my first hand when I got my General way back when. And we're gone. And as far as rebuilding any of that older stuff, I'm kind of losing it a little bit. I do use a soldering iron and I do some soldering and tinkering, but I was looking at schematics and everything and stuff, and I still see it, but it seems like my hand coordination isn't what it was. Well, I guess that happens when you go over 80, anyhow. And the other thing on, this is for W6JRY Jerry. I don't know if you've reached Steven yet, but if you do, I'd still like to talk to him. I haven't been on more than about once a month, but he was the one that started that radio club in Magalia. And we're going to get back up there one of these days, weather permitting and all that. We were thinking of buying a house up there again, but now the housing prices are going way up. But now they're starting to drop. But more recently dropped, so maybe it'd be worth it. But then we're also thinking of going to Virginia, but I don't know if we'll do that. Suits me politically better, that's for sure. This state. Well, this county is the only one that, I'm in a county called Tuolumne County. We're the only county that voted to impeach the idiot we got in Sacramento. That's all I want to say on that. In all 58 California states. And let's see, the other thing on the electric radio, let's see, the new polls, I was going to comment on something else you guys were talking about. Radio. I guess that's just electric radio. I dozed off just briefly, but I got most everything. I didn't realize I had, but some of the signals, I didn't hear Bill at all anymore, and the other ones are getting weaker. But the stronger stations are still coming through, so I better say 73 myself here before I lose everybody myself. And we're going to get snow in. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to lower the antenna a little more because it gets all the snow collects on the dipole and then on the coax and then on the center part, which is the balun. And it starts dropping a lot, so I don't want to lose the rest of it, so I'll probably let it sag a little because the snow will stay on it. And we're supposed to get some actually tonight, and then later in the week. We'll see. 73's all. Great talking to you, and I got 95% of it, except for the 5% sleep time. Sorry about that. Over to W6 AWO Rich, K6VXY listening out.
Well, thank you, Vern. And yeah, the QSC is moving in and the signals are moving up and down and sideways. Well, maybe a little sideways among this group, but not too bad. Everybody's staying put. Well, been a wonderful net as always. A pleasure to be with the esteemed group. So 73, the Mr. and Mrs. America, coming to you all next week. And we're going over to WA7YBS, W6AWO.
Okay. W6AWO, WA7YBS. Still tweaking and peeking here. And there we go. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't be so OCD about the meter readings. But maybe I should, I don't know. Anyway, Jerry, that guy in Redding is Norm Brainwhite. And yeah, I sold him some Scott stuff. He was a big Scott collector, liked all kinds of Scott stuff. And I had what was it? It's an 800. It was the post-war 1946 Scott. I had a custom one that had 2 receivers in it. No phonograph, 2 receivers. And he wanted that one pretty bad. So anyway, he came over to Virginia City and picked it up. And I think I sold him some other Scotch stuff while he was there. And he carried around a binder, a three-ring big binder. And it was a big photo album. Nothing but photographs of radios that he had restored and had really rare stuff, you know, like Lincolns and McMurray Silvers, of course. A lot of that custom building that was done in the late 30s, he had a lot of that stuff. And he had that Scott communications receiver that Scott made. That is like ultra rare. I've never even seen one. I've seen pictures, but big receiver. And, of course, built like a typical Scott. And of course, nobody could afford them, therefore none exist. There's probably 10 or so that exist today. But anyway, that was old Norm Brainwhite. And yes, I did meet him and perused through his photo album. So with that, 73 all around. And over to Chuck, K0DWC WA7 YBS.
Okay, Henry. All right, fellas. Well, I concur with everybody. What a great net this morning. Another big crowd, for sure, and we do appreciate it. We appreciate the support each and every Sunday that you guys come in and check in and tell us all the great stuff that you're doing and all the great stories and everything. It's a great group of guys that we've got. We're fortunate to have all of you here on our Vintage Military Radio and everyone. So anyway, this is K0DWC, and I'll be securing the Vintage Military Radio Net, and would like to thank everyone for their participation. Invite everybody back next Sunday morning. Henry will be net control next Sunday. So with that, we'll turn the frequency back over to regular amateur use. So you gentlemen have a good day today and a good week ahead, good safe week ahead, and take care. So we'll talk to you guys again on Sunday. So 7 freeze, guys. This is K0DWC signing off.